On July 12th, 2011, George R.R. Martin released A Dance with Dragons, the fifth and what stands as the final entry into the Song and Ice and Fire franchise. I bring that up to say on March 20th, 2025, it will be a cool 5,000 days since that very release date. And what do we have in the interim? On the visual front? Well, we got a fair few series of varying quality, a few good seasons, a few bad seasons, and a bunch of stuff that, well, we don't need to relitigate at this point in time. We can just simply talk about the written work, and well, there's been a fair number of coffee table books. There hasn't really been a bunch of novels. There's been, a few history books, but yeah, long story short, Winds of Winter, it's very much hanging in the balance, and a dream of spring, rather, it's still very much going to stay as a dream at this point in time, and especially at this pace. But according to George, I have to finish the books. Yeah, we know you're not going to, but it's good that you have at least come to that conclusion that you have to finish them. At least at this point in time, bro, just lay out a succession plan, because we know that you're not interested in writing them, or it's either you've lost interest, you don't care about it, you don't know how to finish the books, or you're scared. It's something. It's probably a confluence of all of those and many more excuses. I would say if we are to rank them, you're probably more interested in the other stuff that you're doing, because it's probably easier, because if you fail on that, you can blame other people, and if you succeed on it, then you can take all of the credit for people just, expanding and adapting your brilliance. As opposed to if you put out a book and it fails, there's only one person to blame for that. And also, given your writing style and your previous works, it's much more grandiose, and it is just grown into such a sprawling affair. You don't even know what you're doing at this point in time. You've set out that there's only 2 more books, and you've been working on Winds for nigh on 14 years. The guts of 14 years, for certain. I highly doubt by the time that I'm recording this, and by the time that you guys see this video, we will have released the project. Very much not going to be the case, as much as I'd love to be wrong. And while I don't think it's going to happen, I don't think that he's going to finish The Winds of Winter. I would say that there's an 85% chance it's not going to get done, at least at the hands of Martin. There's still that 15% chance. It could happen in the next year or two, but a dream of spring, bro, that's never going to happen. Unless he is secretly, over the past decade plus, he has been writing both concurrently. That's about the only way that we're going to get both of these. But yeah, I have to finish the books. We know. We've known for a very long time. George is finally offering an update on the final Game of Thrones novels that he's penning, following 2011's A Dance with Dragons. The acclaimed author has been working on the 6th series installment, The Winds of Winter. Have you heard that's what it's called? For over a decade. No, over 13 years, approaching 14 years. It will very likely eclipse that July 12th, 2020. A 14-year anniversary, and yeah, like I said, you can go ahead and check 5,000 days on the 20th of this month. It's never going to happen. Okay, with a potential 7th, A Dream of Spring, also on the way. In an interview with Collider, Martin discussed the difficulties and challenges of providing successful adaptations of his books. Yeah, because that's what he's far more enamored with at this point in time, and that's fine, man. Okay, writing TV scripts is probably a hell of a lot more straightforward and far more gratifying for you, especially at your age and temperament. I'm not going to hold it against you. It's just, you've kind of already promised another group of people, and that's kind of, what all of this is founded on. That series that is still very much not concluded. And yeah, because there's 2 more entries that are still to be written. It's there's still a lot of story left to be told. You could probably be focusing on that. It would just be so weird, right? It's been like this for as long as I've been aware of the franchise. It's there's always been those 2 books that are hanging out there. And because there is still so much story left to tell, Daenerys has been in Marines since the Clinton administration, for Christ's sakes, there's no way that fan theorists, even though that they have at this point in time, because they have literally theorized about every single avenue that this can take, there's no real concrete way that fans could already finish the story for you. It's just because there's so many other things that could potentially happen. There's so much and so many gaps that are out there that, yeah, they can't properly close them off. So if you don't finish the final entry, it's not the end of the world. It still sucks that it's not going to have your stamp on it. But people can deduce, based on the way that you write and the way that you properly characterize your characters, you can figure out how things are going to play out. That's just not the case with 2 books remaining. But anyways, difficulties, challenging producing successful adaptations of his books, acknowledging that they may not always meet fan expectations. Well, that's something that fans of A Song of Ice and Fire and the grander universe come to expect. You try to make the story as good as it can be, and some fans will be like, some fans will like it, some fans will not like it. He says, you're always going to get criticism. Well, actually, one of the biggest critiques of some of the people adapting your work tends to come from you, George. Ryan Condal with House of the Dragon, after all. For as much as you wanted to heap praise on him for the first season, then all of a sudden you wanted to retroactively withdraw your praise, even though it was HBO that was very much dog fucking that second season. I mean, there were supposed to be 2 other episodes of the big bombastic battle to just cap off the season. Now, of course, that wouldn't have corrected the problems that you have with Massaria and how some of those feminist nutbags in the writer's room really love Rhaenyra, but never want to hold her accountable for some of her stupid decisions, but I digress. The writer then stated that he had to get back to finishing the books that unfortunately do not suffer the same constraints as her adaptations. Exactly, because there's nobody else to blame but your own failings. There's always the books, and I'm aware that people think that, but no, I have to get back. I have to finish the books. And that's the one thing I'm completely in control of. Wow, he's actually vocalized it, because that's what people have been saying in criticism of him doing everything but finishing the books. You're completely in control of it. Why aren't they done? Why is the last writing update that we've had outside of, I haven't really done anything, was, oh yeah, right, there's like 100 pages that just went oopsie daisy, I threw them in the trash. It's like, I beg your pardon? You're supposed to be writing, but over the past couple of years, you've done anything but. Hell, you've even detracted from the already written work, which of course could end up being to its benefit as opposed to your detriment. But when it's already been over a decade, like, come on, okay? And there is no, budgetary limitations. There's no executives or the studio on the side. And I have to go please, or other writers with different views. The books are what I'm going to make them. And I think the one I'm writing is coming pretty well, but I wish it would come faster. Well, again, that's the one thing that you're in control of. And I understand hitting, mental blocks or going on a creative downturn, but it's coming up on 14 years, George. These excuses have run extremely thin, which is about the only thing that you can say in relation to George. Late last year, Martin, delivered a less than upbeat update regarding the state of the unfinished Game of Thrones book series. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm 13 years late, and I don't even know if I'm going to finish them. But hey, look at this, guys. I got all of these other series that I'm working on. George R.R. Martin confirms A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is already working on season 2, which, that's another unfinished book series that you're having adapted. Boy, ain't that fun, but hey, at least you got a new hat and you're looking, I guess, a little bit healthier. Maybe you just got better lighting for that picture. But George has confirmed that the team behind the newest Westeros show, which is the Dunk and Egg series, if you know, you know, and if you don't, it's going to be a lot more grounded, and it's probably going to be good. Like I said, I like a vast majority of the shit that this fat hack writes. It's just, it doesn't really do a lot of writing. But yes, they're already working on a second season. The first season is slated to debut sometime in late 2025. What? It was supposed to come out early 2025, for fuck's sakes. And the first season consists of 6 episodes. So, holy shit, man. Like, they were filming this stuff, this time last year? Maybe even earlier than that, okay? Because we had production stills and all of that stuff. Yeah, in on and around when House of the Dragon was coming out last year. That was June? Something like that? Yeah, no, and we got our first set photos of that. So holy shit, you need over a year to work on 6 episodes? Holy Jesus. Anyways, based on Martin's novellas, Tales of Dunk and Egg, the events of the novellas take place around, 89 years before the events of the main novels. And here's the thing, if he doesn't ever finish those stories, there's, it's a pretty concrete ending, right? Because it's still a prequel when it's all said and done, and we won't have George's stamp of approval on what officially happens at Summerhall. You can pretty much piece stuff together, right? There's enough information that's out there in order to get to the conclusions of what happens with Aegon, with Sir Duncan the Tall, where everybody's lining up at this point in time, what ends up happening with the climactic event there, how that eventually, works its way into what happens in the aftermath. It's like you can piece that stuff together. Unlike with, the grander main novels, A Song of Ice and Fire. Yes, set about 77 years before the beginning of A Dance of Dragons. Yes, Martin has been very vocally supportive of the new series, praising it on his Nada blog over the last few months. Yes, the recent interview with Collider, Martin revealed that showrunner Ira Parker, who worked on the first season of House of the Dragon, oh interesting, and his team are already working on season 2, and that's so fantastic, right? So, but George is going to have writing credits, so if the show succeeds in the first season, he'll take all of the credit for providing the source material, and if there's any improvements that are out there, he'll give a wink and a nudge to that. But if it ends up shitting the bed in the second season, then he can complain about, my wings of the butterfly and rippling effects and all that stuff. And I don't like Ira anymore. But then again, he can criticize Ryan Condal all he wants, but if you criticize somebody named Ira, he might have different problems. But that's all right. He can go drink away his sorrows, because on top of writing a bunch of, or at least, giving his likeness and lending his name and credibility to other series, he's opening up a bar. This fat hack will literally do anything except for finish the goddamn books. George R. R. Martin opening a new bar, Milk of the Poppy. Oh, so it's an opium den? Is that what we're doing, George? Instead of completing The Winds of Winter. Yeah, big shock on that one. In this month's edition of What is George R. R. Martin doing other than writing The Winds of Winter? Okay, listen, that wasn't quite as smooth as I hoped that it was. It's like, what is Fat Ass doing minus finishing the books? That's a little bit better. Okay, we learned that the epic fantasy author is now opening a medieval-themed bar instead of completing A Song of Ice and Fire. Oh my god, this is like hack country singers opening up, a watering hole in Nashville. Like, what are we doing? George R. R. Martin is 13 years late, on delivering A Winds of Winter, but don't worry about it. He'll get around to it. Toxicity is growing, George wrote. It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films, but now people are mad because all of the people that have just, derided the fans for so long are finally getting their comeuppance, and I don't like them being mad. And it makes me unhappy. It makes me sad. In September, he said the mounting stress level, spent too much time working and worrying about the rise of fascism in the United States. Writing came hard. Yeah, that's nice. In December of 2024, he spoke with The Hollywood Reporter and hinted that he might not get the books finished before he dies, and he has no succession plan written at all whatsoever. But last month, it was revealed that, yes, Martin was writing a physics paper, something else that he's going to do, rather than not finishing the books. But now Milk of the Poppy is a new bar opening in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So yeah, in his own backyard, set up by George R. R. Martin, and is set to debut March 21st. So on the 5,001st day since the release of A Dance with Dragons, you can go down there and drink away your sorrows with other long-suffering fans of A Song of Ice and Fire. The bar already has an Instagram page, which is already more work than George has done on on A Song of Ice and Fire in the past 13 years. The bar is also shown to be open to and rented for private functions. Well, that's so fantastic. And it's like, okay, the crab looks pretty good, and I don't drink or anything like that, so I can't really say whether or not it's like those look like enticing drinks. All I know is I hate the trash bag who has, tattoos on her hands, but like I said, the crab looks pretty appetizing, honestly. The high concept is combining an aesthetic of the medieval apothecary with a cocktail bar, and Milk of the Poppy is said to be offering small bites of food items as well as a reported small venue with a maximum capacity of 55 people. Holy shit. One wonders where George R. R. Martin is getting the time to start and open a bar when he seems to be incapable of writing. Well, yeah, he is literally doing anything that he possibly can in order to not finish a fucking story. House of the Dragon, I really like. I'm very much looking forward to season 3. Still, for as much as he infuriates me, I am, in fact, looking forward to A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, a Hedge Knight, even, the terrible title notwithstanding. I am still foolishly looking forward to Winds of Winter. Well, the other people recapping it. I don't read fiction like that. Even though I want to get audiobooks for all of Tolkien's work, who George will perpetually be the bitch of, because at least, for as many critiques and criticism as he has of Tolkien. And I know a bunch of suck asses will be like, oh, actually, he's a big fan of Tolkien. It's like, shut up. This is an asshole who, started a series. I was going to say made an entire series, but no, you have to finish something in order to fully make it. But he starts an entire series off the premise of what was Aragorn's tax plan? But at the same time, it's like, well, what if Aragorn decided to fuck his cousin? It's like, that's what you wanted to tell a story about. Fantastic. When you start on a premise like that, it's no wonder that you can't finish the fucking books. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.